folks. Welcome to race number 2 of the Bwoah Racing League Season 5. We head to the Australia, the Albert Park circuit. We've been there twice before, and this is the third time around. Last time around, we saw the rookie General Pepe take the win as it was the season opener. 16 turns, 5-kilometer circuit, 2 DRS zones, of course. 3, in fact, for that matter. And Davin, if you're with me, tell me all about Albert Park, because I'd like to know from a driver's point of view.
We have on the calendar and even in the real life calendar. And sadly, it has been a bit of a up and down in the past 2 years for the circuit due to COVID-19 pandemic. And we haven't been there for 2020 and even for 2021. It was supposed to be around this time, but it has been cancelled. Interesting thing to note though, we do have a new layout for the Albert Park circuit, which should have taken effect in the real life 2021 Grand Prix. But we're not going to be seeing that track in this game today. So it's a pretty fast street circuit already before the changes. The new changes are just going to make it a tad bit more faster, approximately 4 to 5 seconds faster, promoting overtake in a very tight street circuit. I think, real life, we might see some action next year, hopefully. Then again, we can only predict what's going to happen. So let's head down to the track and see what's happening with our guys today.
Yeah, about 10 cars coming out on track. First of many are Mad Marquez, his first race out on track. And for his team, the in-game Williams team, I believe his teammate won't be out on track, unfortunately. That would be UK, so we will not get to see UK out on track today. But a few other changes in drivers as well out there. Eccentric stepping in as a reserve for the in-game Alfa Romeo team, alongside no one, it seems like, because I had expected to see Horning out on track for the first time. We did see the likes of Derp at last race, so yeah, unusual. But 18 drivers out on track out here today. Just over 15 minutes left to short qualifying.
Yep. Always great to see qualifying, short qualifying to add on that. And as we'll say that, Signic just has a loss of back end and just DNFs on his first outlap even, I think. And that puts an end to his run. And even Mad Marquez seems to have retired from the session. Something happened there. Sat, would you bring us there?
Yeah, unusual. I don't know, to be honest. It could. I was about to say it could be voluntary retirement. Let me just quickly check something. But seems like it was a legitimate retirement. And yeah, both drivers out of the session. I missed both retirements, considering I was trying to get a glimpse of Sicknig. But yeah, I think it was Mad Marquez, considering he was the Williams on the right-hand side when we stayed on board with Avi, I presume. So yeah, yep. 2 retirements into the first 3 minutes of short qualifying. Who would have thought about that?
Indeed. I think the fast left right, I think of turn 10, 11 or whatever it's called, it is starting to catch drivers out on their I don't know, hot laps. And this is just their first lap. They definitely want to take it a bit cautiously on the first lap, set a good banker, and perhaps go for it again the next laps. And let's ride on board maybe with any of the drivers that are on track at the moment. Mr. Vex is starting his lap.
I was precisely on him, so perfecto. He goes into turn 1. Last time around in season 3. Not season 4, but season 3, he actually ended up being the only retirement during the race, the Australian GPO season 3. And come season 4, we had a full racing grid, and all 20 drivers ended up finishing the race. So let's hope for a clean race this time around as well. And Vex looking incredibly fast as he goes through sector 1, purple sector at that. Probably the first time we're going to see on board as well, but I probably jumped the gun. Freeze sets the first lap time, 1 minute 23.430. How do you stack that up with your own, Dalvin?
Well, there's a big difference in qualifying versus time trial. Whereas even in Grand Prix mode compared to online mode, there's a lot of grip differences. However, I think a 23.4 is a solid banker lap for him to start off We had to see the likes of KDB, Big Benjo, Envy, Kuberabi, RP Philo, everyone pretty much out on the track, getting their out laps done and warming up their tires just to get ready, get the tires into the window, and get their laps on. So I'm expecting a pole time probably around a 122 maybe.
Yeah, and as you say that, the driver who just set the fastest lap time out on track has crashed out, and we got to see it on screen. Freeze lost his front wing, and I think that's the same part of the track. At least seemed like it. I could be wrong here, as Rusty Nish did back in season 3. But yeah, Freeze set a banger lap, and he's out of qualifying almost instantly.
Yep, and immediately his time is beaten by Mr. Wax, who beats it by 2/10, and immediately again beaten by Harry Rocks. And oh my god, the times are just tumbling. It's a 121.4 by Eccentric in the Alfa Romeo. I'm guessing, I beat my expectations just of a 122. It looks like we're expecting a 20s probably today.
Yeah. Perhaps it is Eccentric after all, stepping in. Perhaps he'd like to step in for his own team eventually down as the season progresses. But yeah, 3 retirements of shock qualifying already. But guess who's not set a lap time yet? It's the likes of Kuberabi and KDB. And as I say that, Kuberabi goes up into second fastest.
Yep, and solid banker lap as well on the softs. However, 1.5 second of Eccentric's lap time there. So I wonder if he get held or he was just taking it a bit cautious on the first banker lap. Perhaps just taking it slow and steady. He didn't want to DNF. As we have seen, 3 drivers are already out of qualifying, even in not even half a session here.
Yeah. And coming into this race, KDB mentioned how he lacked the experience around the Portimao circuit. But regardless, he did end up getting that podium. We'd probably see him perform even better as he sets the second fastest lap time, goes down to third fastest as Envy beats that lap time to be the fastest out there.
Yep, track is getting less busy right now with the first set of runs out of the way, and much less traffic on the track. So the likes of Kubabi, who was going on a second lap, has unfortunately invalidated his lap here. Gouts as well, trying his luck on the mediums, a bold strategy here, but it may pay off towards the end of the race if he can make the alternate strategy work to his favor. Big Ben Joe as well, out on track, perhaps done with his lap. Looks like he's going for another fast one here. Let's ride on board. Perhaps he's looking like might improve marginally over here. Yeah, rounding up the last sector here, slowest part of this track. The tires might be going off at this point, screaming for grip, and up to the line. Big Man Joe crosses line and sets a pretty good time of a 122.5. Promotes him up into P4.
Yeah, he didn't have the greatest of runnings last time around in Season 4 Australian GP. He ended up finishing down in the bottom, P19 in the race. He'll be hoping to change that completely come Season 5. 10 minutes left to shock qualifying. Eccentric still the fastest car out there. But interesting times being put on the board with Hyrox being 6th fastest. Not something you see every day.
Yep, I'm starting to wonder if some of these drivers are intentionally sandbagging their soft lap time so that they can go a bit faster on the mediums and start on the harder tire, which might just be the better race tire for this session. Perhaps there might be some rain in the race. We again, it's always a mystery for us in the console, right, Sarthak? We don't know what's going to happen in the race. What's the weather like?
Precisely.
That's just the fun that we get to enjoy.
Yeah. So next time, if you all are wondering why we jump in joy when we see rain, it's probably because we didn't expect rain. We usually don't expect anything at all. So, yeah. XZ is out there on track today. This time with a different team as a reserve for the in-game Mercedes team. SV11 is the team principal and reserve driver. He couldn't make it, so it's XZ alongside Sicknick, and it seems like all pressure on him today, because Sicknick's retired already without setting a lap time, and I'm surprised how XZ didn't end up invalidating that lap. He had half the car on the grass there, and around the final corner, how good of a lap time can he set? Probably quicker than Drunken Monkey at least. Cross the line, he'll say 15th fastest for now. It could have been his outlap, so apologies there.
It was his outlap,
Yeah.
and however, saying that he just invalidated his lap into the first corner, cutting the chicane a little too much, and he's backing it off to go for another lap here. Pretty quiet out on track, but drivers are coming out for their second set of runs here. Envy out there, Kubarabi, Herox, Mr. Vex, BRL Vix, Drunken Monkey all out on the track, getting their softs ready for another run.
Davin, you mentioned how the alternate strategy might be at play, and seems like the team that's inclined to take the alternate strategy are the Alpine boys out on track, Vex T56 and RB Ferrello.
Yep, if they do start out of the outside of the top 10, and then they're gonna be getting free choice of tires. So we like to say like P11 is always the strategic pole position, and that might just be the case over here. And if any of them gets into P11, they might be enticed to start on the mediums and take it long into the race. Yeah, I think we have spotted a crash over here. It's in the middle sector. Avi seems to have caught up to a Mercedes earlier in the left-right chicane, and yeah.
Also, I should mention Eccentrics crashed out on track, or perhaps retired out on track. I'm not too sure, but I did see his car out on the grass. I think he's called it a day. A solid lap time, 1 minute 21.453. I wonder if the likes of NV and KDB can beat that lap time, or has he set himself for provisional pole already?
Yep, it's not too shabby of a lap time there. It's still beatable, but perhaps, like you say, he might have just lost it on the outlap there. He might not even have gone out. So that's a very surprising thing to see. Not naturally, you don't want to be retiring even if you're on pole, unless there's a weather change for the worse, and you're pretty much guaranteed the pole over here. However, I think the other drivers like NV, KDB, Big Man Joe even, they have about half a second to about a second to match Eccentric's pace here.
Yeah, and we've got two more retirements, Dalvin. While we were on the topic of lap times and strategies, it's RB Ferrello and Guts. Both drivers seem to have retired as Hyrox 24 and Kubarabi beat their lap times respectively. Hyrox 24 still being the fastest of the two. UT coming in there, being 7th fastest. And I'm finding it highly unusual that we've had so many retirements in qualifying of all sessions.
Yep. And Envy there, rounding up his last lap here, and goes across the track, goes across the line, starts his flying lap here. Nice first corner and second corner, no invalidation, right on the limit there. And heading down into turn 3, a short DRS straight, but DRS straight nonetheless. And seems to have taken the corner just nicely over the curb into 4 and 5. And I'm starting to lose the corner names here, but at the end of the sector 1, it's invalidated. And that's the end of his run. Perhaps let's ride on board with someone else to see if we can get a good shot of their quali lap.
Kubarabi is on a fast lap, and he's 3rd fastest, so he's playing in the same league as Envy.
Yep, and seems to be hitting his apexes just nicely. Up into P3 already, and he might just look to improve about 2 or 3 tenths more to steal the front row start here.
Perhaps he did end up getting the podium after stewards deliberated on a few penalties post-race. So yeah, he snatched that podium off of Derp, and it seemed like Kubarabi slowed down incredibly, letting through 2 cars. So yeah, he's abandoned his fast lap, but I won't be surprised if he starts another one soon enough. His teammate has retired down in P14 is the only starting position. He can hope for the best starting position on the mediums as well. But free tire choice regardless, considering he's beyond the top 10 gouts. But yeah, right now, doesn't look like anyone's close to beating Eccentric's lap time, is there?
Yep. And 4 minutes to go. I think this will be the last chance for everyone to get out on track once again on the lowest fuel. And perhaps just a bit of a wing adjustment and get the lap underway, and go for the all-in lap and try to get the pole position, or even at least lock out the front row here.
Yeah, everyone's in the pits right now, apart from Dark Legacy, who's out on track. Invalidated his lap time. He could possibly start another lap, I presume. And I think XZ's out on track as well. But is he on a fast lap? Yes, he is. So let's stay on board XZ.
Yep, improves by a full second there. for his first sector, which is looking great already. That pretty much may put him up into P15 right now, but it's a long lap on the softs. He might be gaining a lot more time here. Let's see. Coming up to the fast left-right chicane here. Can he nail it? Misses the apex slightly, but gets through safe and sound. Invalidates the lap as well, and probably he might be carrying an extra load of fuel. He's ready to go again.
Yeah, Dark Legacy just began his fast lap, and a few drivers coming out on track as well, especially the boys in the in-game team Ferrari, and with the likes of Envy and Hyrox 24 coming out. So they look particularly strong out on track.
Yep, and it's very very good days to see Ferraris back in form, like in real life as well. And perhaps we can just savor the moments here. Meanwhile, as you said, Dark Legacy, who was on his lap, seems like he's having a bit of a scruffy lap here and still carrying on. Might be looking to perhaps abandon this. He's catching up to KDB and Envy up front. So let's hope they leave him enough space. And oh no, UT is up ahead, and seems like he might have just been impeded there. However, I hope that's not the case. Dark Legacy probably was on his cooldown lap anyway.
Right, a bunch of drivers coming out on track for better lap times. To set better lap times, they're on their out laps as we speak. Someone we've not seen do as well as we did see him do at Portimao is Drunken Monkey. He's still down in the bottom half. He's 15th fastest. His teammate is up in the top half and in the top 5 in fact. And let's quickly jump to Big Manjo, who's in sector 3 getting ready for a fast lap.
Yep, and a flurry of drivers out on track already. UT being the first one to start his final lap here, and then the two Ferraris next with him, and then XC next to cross the line to start his lap, and then the two Red Bulls are coming around the last corner to start their lap as well. It's gonna kick off in the last 1 minute and a half here, and let's see who can knock it into pole or even get the front row at least.
Yeah, maybe, just maybe Envy can beat that lap time which Eccentric has set. 1 minute 21.453. He is close, but is that close enough is the question.
Yep, improves by almost a tenth in the first sector, so that's some encouragement there. Heading into the fast left-right chicane, this is where you can make or break your lap. And if you full send it, you're gonna gain loads of time, but at the same time you're risking some invalidation. Sends it in left, right, over the curb, fully committed, and sets a purple middle sector there. And hitting the last sector, can the tires hold on? Can he hold on as well? Last two corners here, let's have a look.
Yeah, on the limit, and could he possibly just make it in? I don't see it happening. Just might, as he comes across the line. Does he have it? So close.
Improves by 2 tenths, but still 2.5 tenths away from pole position. So Envy locks at the front row for now. Cuba RB doesn't improve. KDB seems like he's just out there going on a glory and perhaps giving his teammate a tow. Or is he actually on a lap right now? Leaving it till the very last moment here.
Yeah, he is on a lap himself, and he'd better be, considering Big Man Joe just beat his lap time, and Cuba Rabi having not started a final lap. He's still faster than KDB. Mr. Vex set a banger lap time. He's 6th fastest. He will be starting P6 for now, provisional P6. And we see Envy going slow, so he won't be really trying to set a lap anymore. It's KDB on a fast lap. Let's stay on board with him.
Yep, only 3 tenths faster than his previous best, so KDB not having the best of laps over here. And hitting the last sector, maybe he can make up a bit more time here to snatch at least P3 or P4 from his rivals here.
Yeah, just might, and a bunch of lap times coming in. Avi just beat Mr. Vex's lap time, 6th, P6 is where he'll start. Hyrox 24 still hasn't set a lap time. I think he's out on track on a fast one. KDB crosses the line. Can he do better? Yes, he does by 1 position. He's up in a P4.
Yep, still a 2.5 off the pole time. Nevertheless, it's a second row lockout for Cuba RB and KDB. And Big Man Joe lines up in the third row, and KDB's teammate UT is finishing
Impressive.
up the third row there.
Yeah,
And the Haas boys locking out the fourth row there. It's an interesting formation there.
Yeah, definitely Aston Martin and Haas, the two in-game teams, doing incredibly well. That's absolutely brilliant to see. It's Nishant and Milan, team principals, doing a great job. I hope because the drivers are doing a great job out on track. Wix 356 being the Alpine driver in the top 10 this time around, and yeah, I'm still surprised to see the likes of Gauts and RB Ferrero in the bottom half.
Yep. Perhaps it is a blessing in disguise. With starting outside of the top 10, you will get a free choice of tires. Even if you start on the soft tires, you will be starting on fresher soft compared to your rivals, just allowing you to go that extra lap or two, over to perform the overcut on your rivals and just maybe get a strategic advantage at the end of the day, because it is a pretty difficult track to overtake here, and strategy might be their only choice to get some overtakes done.
Yeah, and let's not forget, it's Eccentric's third pole position in the Bwoah Racing League. An impressive one, but this time around, unlike last season, he's got company Envy close behind. Kubarabi, KDB, and Big Man Joe aren't going to back off going into turn one either. And soon enough, we'll be set for the race itself.
Yep.
Davin.
A Ferrari-ish lockout, you can say, if you want to, with Alfa Romeo being the Ferrari customer team. And interesting there, perhaps, these Alfa boys and Ferrari boys, maybe are they planning something against the rest of the world? But I'm just speculating over here,
Yep.
So let's get into the race.
Probably should mention how Hyrox 24 has improved coming from last race. Last race he retired going into turn one, ended up qualifying in the bottom half as well. And yeah, it was NV P1, Hyrox 24 P20. So not the greatest of outcomes for the team as a whole, for the constructors as well. So this time around we see Hyrox 24 in the top 10. So this could turn things around for them in the constructors.
Yep, let's hope we see a smaller Ferrari sandwich this time around. We don't want to see a P1 and P22 kind of sandwich.
Exactly.
And Harry Rock's definitely turning up in Australia here. Perhaps just picking up the vibes of Daniel Ricciardo, the home hero here. And maybe just the track suits him a little bit more over here compared to Portimao.
Perhaps.
And we're about to see Formation Lab is almost underway. Drivers will be selecting their strategies right now, adjusting all their fuel loads. And just in a few moments, we're about to see which starting tires they are on. And by the looks of it, Axie is probably gambling, having the biggest gamble here. He's starting on the hards, looking at the race director over here. Gauts, the only other driver who's on the mediums, and as we speak about that, a Drunken Monkey now opts for the mediums as well. So array of strategies coming into play. Axie definitely looking for the longest play here to go deep into the race. Interesting there. Everyone else on the soft. So let's see how this turns out, man. It's getting interesting from a strategic POV.
Yeah, hopefully the game's not playing tricks on me. And of course, it wasn't. 30 seconds will be soon enough beginning with the formation lap. I should mention, last time around at the Australian GP, we had four race winners in the bottom half at the end of the race, out of the points in fact, and a few podium finishers as well. So it was incredibly close, but we did have a clean race. All 20 drivers came across the line. So let's hope this time around all 18 drivers out on track come across the line come race finish as the formation lap. Best time of the session, I'd like to say, is when I get to ask you what your prediction could be for the race itself, Dalvin, if any. You can always choose to not predict at all, just to be on the safe side.
We all know how it's gonna turn out, isn't it?
Yeah.
We predict and something else happens, and there goes our points, So let's put a wild old eccentric for P1 and perhaps Cuba just messing with them up in front. Maybe a sneaky P2 and KDB, not to forget him. He's a sneaky wily old fox here. Maybe on race strategy, on undercuts, he might just get them. Then again, I think given this track's nature, the top three may remain the same till the end. Just a wild guess.
Yep, perhaps going into turn one, things might get sent completely left field. We'll find out as Eccentric comes through Sector 2. Let's go down the order and see the drivers out on track. If I happen to miss out on anyone during qualifying, unfortunate to see Sick Nick at the back of the pack along with Mad Marquez on his debut outing in the Bwoah Racing League. He's on the softs. He's the only driver on the softs in the bottom half of the pack.
Yep, very bold choice there. Perhaps looking to get some moves early on and gain some track position and benefit from perhaps some safety cars or even VSCs early on. Like you said, everyone in the bottom half, 11 to 17, everyone's on the mediums except for Exy, who's on the hards. And they'll be the one to look out for in the later half of the race if they can make this strategy work. And and Eccentric now, rounding out the last corner here as the AI takes over the car before the formation lap ends. Sadly, we don't have boxing during the formation lap, which would have been a nice case if we had changeable conditions. But then again, incremental gains are being made in the game every year. And let's see, as the grid starts to line up, the last drivers around the last corner, Mad Marquez will be rounding up the grid, and the start is very close to there.
18 drivers out on track. We had 19 in Portimao. It's 18, which means two teams in fact, will be taking DNS tokens, which will impact the Constructors' Championship as we go progress in the season. It's Eccentric on pole, Envy right behind, Kuberabi, KDB and Big Manjo in the top 5. Lights will go out and away they go. Eccentric's got a fair enough start, but it seems like Envy's got a better start there, but it's KDB taking that position off of Kuberabi going into turn 1. He's ahead. Envy tries to get alongside Eccentric as much as possible, but it's KDB, the only driver in the top 5 to capitalize on anything at all.
Yep, right behind Freeze, has an incident into turn 1 and drops to the back of the grid. Mad Marquez there, doing a mad lad job here, going up into P13, gaining 5 positions on the start and now getting 6 positions. He's up into P12 already. That gamble on the softs early on seems like it's paying off.
Yeah, another driver who's been hit hard is Kuberabi. He went down the order while battling alongside Big Manjo. He's down into P9. Not the greatest of outings for McLaren's as it seems like. But yeah, up ahead, he's steering away Eccentric. But the closest drivers in the top 5 is UT closing in on Big Manjo.
Yep, early laps here. This might be the one and only chance, probably in the first 2 or 3 laps, to get some overtakes done. After that, possibly the only chance you have is through strategic overtakes, through the pit stops or VSCs, timing imperfection. But now, I think, first few laps, drivers are settling into the race.
Yeah.
Gaps are starting to form.
Yeah, Sector 3 KDB lost traction and he's given opportunity for Big Manjo to close in. Meanwhile, Avi going alongside UT, two good friends, and on the main straight, they're going side by side. Eccentric sets the fastest lap time, going into turn 1. Avi tucks in behind his friend UT and he's trying to find a gap. Doesn't seem like it's there and he's going to have to stay behind him as they enter Sector 1.
Oh, Avi just has a little spin and he lost control coming out of the second corner and he is backwards, facing the oncoming cars. Gets onto the track safely, however he's down to P13 and 14. He's dropping down and now he's down to P16. What a disastrous start for Avi as well.
I need an explanation on how that front wing survived.
Yep, that's a vibranium front wing there, my friend. I think something has been carried over from the Marvel universe into the game, which is great to see. However, I think the game sometimes does play tricks on us. Lightest of contact may knock you out, whereas full-on collision may not even damage your wing a slight bit.
Perhaps.
Yep, up ahead. Looks like the gap between Eccentric and Envy is staying about the same. KDB and Big Manjo still fighting it out for P3. Virtual safety car has been called out now.
That's Mad Marquez.
Seems like Mad Marquez there. Drops to last place. He's out of the pit lane again. What happened there?
I think he's lost the front wing. Has he? And yep, another Williams with no front wing. It was UK in Portimao and it's Mad Marquez in Australia, Albert Park. So Yeah, not the greatest of outings for the in-game Williams team.
Confirming a suspicion, Sarthak, Matt Marquez has boxed and he had a front wing change. Looking at the race director here, that was unfortunate. However, he is on the mediums now, which technically could go till the end if he does a good job of taking care of them. And as the VSC is staying out for a very, very long time, Abi, first one to take the gamble as well and is into the pits. He's definitely looking to, get onto the hard tires, and this is definitely looking like an attempt to go till the end of the race, which may pay off if there's no further safety cars or VSCs. He may be just eking out the pace and get into the lead once the leaders make their stop.
Yep, perhaps. And that is the end of virtual safety car. DRS has been enabled, it says, and RB Ferrero goes up a position just like that. Mr. Wex drops down and he's in an Alpine sandwich in the midfield.
Yep, VSC restart, a good chance for everyone to just cool down their tires a little bit, but looks like all order has resumed, and Eccentric up ahead managed to get a jump on Envy during the VSC restart and extends his lead from half a second to over 1.5 seconds now. So there has been a really good start from him, and Eccentric might be just looking away into the race here.
Yeah, perhaps over in the midfield, Mr. Wex is playing catch-up to RB Ferrero. And he loses it. Yep, and he's spun as well. And he is in the middle of the track. Sector 3 lights up yellow. He's trying to go back onto track safely. He will be passed by his old teammate Gauds soon enough, I'm sure. But yeah, not the greatest of incidents for Mr. Wex. Vix356 up in a P9. And we're on lap number 4.
Yep, Dark Legacy as well. Probably having a little moment there into the last section. He is into the pits as well now, boxing. Sector 1 lights up yellow. I wonder what's happened there into the second corner here.
Battles.
Man, Marquez, everyone's going side by side now.
Yeah, it's the two Mercedes drivers going side by side, XD and Sicknig. I'm pretty sure they should be aware. And it's a spun Williams as well. He's retired. I'm pretty sure. Yep, that's the end of the race for my Marquez.
Yep, pretty unfortunate there for Matt Marquez, who had a really good start from P18, was up into P12, P11, almost at 1 point. Now he's just out of the race. That's just the nature of league racing. I think Matt Marquez might just have a cold shower after this and head off to Turkey for the Turkish GP. Yep. Meanwhile, out on track, seems really quiet. Not much of a battle for forming anywhere, isn't it, Sarthak?
Yeah, probably one thing to take note of is the fact that Dark Legacy has spit for a fresh set of softs, but that puts him down into P17. Envy says the fastest lap time, 1 minute 25.670. I'm surprised how Eccentric didn't snatch that.
Yep, gap is pretty much staying the same there, just over 1.5 tenths, 1.6 to 1.7. Once you get close to the car in front, Dirty Ed does kick in pretty hard in this track with all those fast flowing corners, and Envy though, I think he might just be looking to settle down for now and get it done in the pit stops. Or maybe he has some other ideas. Maybe he just want to tuck in behind of Eccentric, wait for a mistake to happen and pounce when that happens.
And in the midfield, Hyrox24 doing an impressive job of holding up Cuba Abi. Mind you, this driver can't fight for the driver's title, so he's doing incredibly well for the likes of Envy's cause. And yeah, that's going to cost Cuba Abi quite a bit, because if he doesn't get through Hyrox24 soon enough, he won't be able to fight with the front runners come the last couple of laps of the race itself. But yeah, he is closing in. He is within half a second of Hyrox24. That is the shortest gap between any two drivers out on track. The gaps have extended, with the largest gap at the back of the pack with the likes of Dark Legacy and Avi being 12 seconds apart.
Yep. It is a pretty difficult track to overtake. Say half a second of a gap is not enough to close up to Harry Rocks. But into the last corner here, Harry Rocks lands slightly wide. Cuba Abi right on his gearbox. We might see a move coming into the pit straight here. Let's ride on board, and looks like Harry Rocks is being under attack by Cuba Abi. Pulls out to the outside, makes a move on our Harry Rocks. Harry Rocks drops down into P7. Cuba Abi now gets a second bite of the DRS and goes ahead, preserves the P6. What a move by Cuba Abi.
Well, guess who's coming? Guess who's coming? It's RB Ferrero now to Hyrox24. Next up, Hyrox24 can do as much as he did with the Cuba Abi to hold up RB Ferrello that much more. Up ahead, UT becomes one of the first drivers to get a penalty, 3-second as well. Eccentric picks up one.
Yep, interesting there. Track limits, as always, gonna come into play and disrupt some of the momentum. And Eccentric picking up the 3-second might just be the invitation Envy needs now to stick within his 3-second time gap, isn't he? And Sector 2 is lighting up yellow there with a Red Bull there.
Yeah, there's been an incident.
Drunken Monkey here.
There's been an incident, but now with the Red Bull, it is the Haas.
It's Mr. Vex.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he's lost his front wing. It's Man Marquez's incident all over again.
Yep, and Mr. Vex now without a front wing has to limp back half the track into the pit lane, and I think he's just not having a good start here as well. While he's limping back, up in front, RB Ferrello, like you said, looks like he has gone past Harry Rocks somewhere in the middle sector, and we missed that out. RB Ferrello, mind you, is the lead runner on the medium tires, so he's looking very, very great here to get a charge onto the leaders here. Saying that, Harry Rocks does come back on RB Ferrello, who had a bad run through corner number 2, and everyone is just ping-ponging with each other. Harry Rocks now runs wide, and RB Ferrello gets a cutback and gets back into P7.
Yep.
A drama all over the place.
Yeah, and up ahead, KDB, another driver are on track to pick up a penalty. And as I say that, what happened
there?
I saw him on the right-hand side of the track as I was on board RB Ferrello, and we are on board Vix 356, and I think he's lost a front right, so he's had a terrible spin and he's crashed out. And this time, I'm 100% sure it's the same spot where Rusty Nish, the team principal of the in-game Alpine team, crashed out back in Season 3.
Yep, that brings out their full safety car now, which opens up the opportunity for the soft runners to pit for mediums or hards and go till the end. So advantage for the soft runners here for the likes of Eccentric, Envy, KDB, Big Man Joe, and Cuba with the top 5 all on soft tires, so they will be enticed to box. And seeing that the top 2 are already into the pit lane, let's have a look. Are they all reacting? KDB reacts as well. Big Man Joe seems to be reacting as well. Into the pits he goes. Cuba Rabi also into the pits. RB Ferrello will inherit the race lead for now, running on the mediums here. And let's see if he's he's able to keep his advantage there.
I am in Hinox 24 goes along with RB Ferrello, which means Eccentric will come out to P3 and Envy to follow. Things turned around. I wonder what kind of team strategies will be played with Hyrox 24 in front of Eccentric and Envy right behind.
Yep, a Ferrari sandwich, Eccentric there. I think Harry Rocks might just play the team game here. Definitely, perhaps. I think he will be playing the team game and hold up Eccentric here. Then again, Eccentric has a 3-second time penalty. So if Harry Rocks could hold up Eccentric, I think we are in for an interesting race. Will that mean also RB Ferrello, who started P14, now is up into the lead? Can he pull out a lead and perhaps do a miracle on the softs maybe later down the race?
Perhaps he's no stranger to leading the race itself. But yeah, all eyes on Ron, I presume, who is the team principal of the in-game Ferrari team, Hyrox 24 and Envy. Is in the ears of both the drivers, and I wonder what calls will be made right after the safety car ends. And yeah, KDB right up there, and so unfortunate to see UT retire the way he did, considering he was right behind a position off of KDB. So that would have been a good points haul for the in-game Aston Martin team led by Millen. But yeah, it is what it is. The team's poised for a great Australian GP right now. Looks like it's the Alpine team, Red Bull and Ferrari. Of course, McLaren find themselves in the top 10 as well, but Gouts is on 7-lap-old mediums.
Yep, a lot of these medium runners who started on these tires are now forced to stay out unless they want to gamble it on the hard tires till the end. Then again, incidents are not we're not too shy of incidents in this league, right? So we might just see another safety car. Obviously towards the end.
Hyrox 24 boxes.
Hyrox is boxing. Interesting choice there. I think he was running on the soft, so that might have been a call by the team to not double stack earlier. Unfortunately, that is going to be costing him a lot of positions. And also wing change for Harry Rocks here, looks like it. So that might have been a strategic call by the team. Unfortunate there for Harry Rocks. Now he drops down to pretty much last of the finishing drivers here.
Yep. Oh, possibly not going to get to see any team strategy being called with Eccentric behind Irox 24, not behind clearly anymore. But yeah, things just got interesting. On the 9th lap, we're still out on safety car. XZ, who's probably not run in the top 10 before, finds himself in that mix. We've got the likes of some of the front runners at the back of the pack. Mr. Vex and Dark Legacy, competent drivers find themselves at the back of the pack. Yeah, the safety car restart's going to be interesting to say the least. If anyone's going to put their money on anyone, I'm going to say put it on the likes of Big Man Joe, because he seems like he's in the best of positions to possibly pick off a position or two.
Yep, then again, he is on the hard tires. As we know, in this game, the hard tires are like a strategic nightmare. They take so long to heat up. It's at least 4 or 5 laps of race running, and then they up to speed, whereas the mediums and softs will get up to speed much faster. And the only ones on the mediums up front are Fellow and Eccentric. XZ Envy though, who decided to box as well during the safety car, has boxed onto the hard, so he is definitely poised to go till the end. He will be coming back at the end of the race, but he has to manage his tires to not spin out in the first few laps of the safety car restart, which is in this lap.
Yes. Arbifero will be leading this race. Unusual activity in the midfield, however, with Vix356 and XZ seeming to be swapping positions according to the board. Yeah. Hopefully it stays clean. RB Ferrello leads this race. 5-second penalty after severe collision with XZ on the safety car for Drunken Monkey. And the race will restart just like that. Safety car is in, and an incredible start for Eccentric Envy, the likes of KDB as well right behind, and Gouts is in the mix for the first time in a long time, and KDB lost a bit of traction, somehow caught it, still on track. Gouts, Cuba Abi comes up and and Big Man Joe falls down the order. Abi falls down the order. I wonder what's happened there.
Yep, and they might have just had a bad exit, squiggling out of turn 2 on the cold tires. All the meantime, Harry Rocks made an overtake on Mr. Vex and also dodged the two retiring cars, which it's a blessing for him to survive that opening melee here. And up in front here, it's another car goes spinning. XZ goes spinning as well, and right on the fringes of point here, right on board with Harry Rocks. A lot of drama, a lot of action is going on here. Dark Legacy runs wide. Harry Rocks gets the cutback, tries to go for a over and out. Dark Legacy might just concede this position to Harry Rocks. Harry Rocks up into P11. What a recovery by this driver already.
Yeah, and Vex is sitting here cautiously and saying, okay boys, keep going. But right now Vex seems like he's dropping quite a bit, and right behind Freeze seems to have crashed out as well. He resets on track and he's back on track as well. XZ trying to close that gap, but up ahead it's Envy making that move stick on RB Ferrello perhaps, or it's a spin for RB Ferrello. Seems like it as he goes down the order in a P7.
Yep, unfortunate there for RB Ferrello. He was in the lead and now dropping into P7. That's not the progress that you want to be making. Eccentric now released into the lead. Envy there left chasing his shadows. KDB though, right on the tail of Envy as well. And these two might have a go into each other in this coming laps here.
Yeah, but RB Ferrello coming back for the positions. He's missed out on Drunken Monkey having all sorts of issues. He seems to have disconnected as well, so that's an easy position for him. He seems to have left a position. He left the session. My apologies. RB Ferrello should be up in a P6 soon enough, but it's the McLaren boys who got the best of restarts after the safety car.
Yeah, P4 and 5 for the McLaren boys, being chased by RB Ferrello, who is on the same lap all tires as Gouts. Cuba Abido up ahead in P4. He'll be looking for help from Gouts to hold off the rest of the pack as the top 4 pull away on their fresh tires here.
Yeah, and I mean, I really needed Richu here with us. Unusual not to see him come by today. But yeah, I would love to know what went down with Avi and Big Man Joe. Unfortunate incidents. Was it the same incident? Did they have a tumble with each other, a tussle with each other perhaps? I guess you'll never know. 4 retirements into the race already. We're on lap number 11. Eccentric setting the fastest lap time. He's no stranger to that. And Envy following as close as he can behind. RB Ferrello closing in on Gouts on the main straight. Won't have enough to get the move done. But come next lap, Gouts might just be threatened for position.
Yeah, just right behind them for P8. Harry Rocks, we were just going to ride on board with him. He was going to go for the attack on Signic, though. However, Harry Rocks lost it on the curve of turn 2 and is now dropping like a stone down into P11 and soon probably down into P12 as Dark Legacy reclaims that P11 here.
Yeah, as he weaves to the right, Harry Rocks 24. Got to be cautious next time around, buddy. But RB Ferrello within half a second of Gouts. Let's go back to that. Shortest gap between two drivers out on track. These two. And RB Ferrello will try his best to close in on the driver. Freeze spits and he's on a fresh set of softs. And Eccentric, probably not the wisest of racking up those time penalties, buddy. You might just lose out on the win come the last lap.
Yep, perhaps he might not be the smartest move right now. However, if he has the pace, he might just actually pull out the gap, given the showing that we have seen during the qualifying. Then again, it's a long race to go. We're not even halfway through yet, and racking up 6 seconds of penalties this early, it's not a good sign.
Yeah,
RB Fellow here.
Precisely.
Going on a move on Gouts here, just a bit squiggly out of the last corner, struggling in the dirty air of the McLaren, but the DRS giving him a superb straight line speed boost. Gets close to Gouts, but maybe not close enough. Gouts definitely looking vulnerable here. RB Fellow, can he go for the move? Is he gonna go for a dive? And nah, he decides to stick it back and hold out for another day.
More like he was forced to stick it back. Incredible defense by the likes of Gouts in Sector 1. And they're gonna enter Sector 2. He's doing a fantastic job for his teammate and for himself for that matter. But yeah, RB Ferrello sticking within half a second of him. Meanwhile, at the back of the pack, I think there's a battle between XZ and Freeze. RB Ferrello closer than ever, will hold back going in the next corner.
Oh, and they tap, Freeze and XZ tap each other. But I think they've come out safe and sound for now. XZ under attack from Freeze on the pit straight. Freeze goes for the move on the fresher soft tires. XZ left vulnerable on the straight there. Great move by Freeze there to reclaim P13.
It almost seemed like XZ was coming back for it. Let's quickly jump back to RB Ferrello and Gouts who are side by side as they exit Sector 3 in fact soon enough. And in the penultimate corner, it's RB Ferrello who's gotten ahead.
Yep, you were mentioning XZ coming back at Freeze though. However, I think XZ has spun it at turn 2 as well. So that's the end of his attack. Freeze will be looking to pull away and rejoin with the pack up ahead.
Meanwhile, this fight is probably done for now as RB Ferrello steers away. Up ahead, Eccentric leads this race comfortably, but probably not so much considering those penalties which we'll have on the board soon enough.
Yep. Harry Rocks here going on a move on Mr. Wax onto the pit straight and gets it done. Even before the braking zone, looks like Mr. Wax had a pretty poor exit onto the pit straight and is now struggling on those hard tires here. Mr. Wax doesn't seem to be too bothered about it. There's no immediate cars behind him. He just has to keep it on track till the end of the race there.
Yeah, and he ran onto the grass as well, so he's not having the greatest of times out on track. We're coming into the half of the race, the first half, the end of the first half of the race itself. Looking at it now, looking at the boards now, we've got Eccentric and KDB with penalties respectively. So Envy, Cuberabi and RB Ferrello seem poised for a great result. But question is, with Signig in the mix, how much longer in fact can they hope for the same?
Yep, and given that it is clear air running now, no incidents, no safety cars to interrupt, so it might just be a good time for them to start pulling out the gap slowly, lap by lap. Safety car or VSC here might just actually disrupt their flow and bunch the pack up together, and that penalties that they had might just come to bite them at the end of the session here. But yeah, like you said, 6 seconds of time penalties for Eccentric. Envy within that 6 seconds for now. KDB as well carrying a 3-second penalty, and RB Fellow, Cuba RB just within touching distances of P3 as well.
Yeah, and I'm getting information through our internal channels that Freeze, the reason Freeze had to crash out was because Sick Leg might have just stopped at a really fast chicane.
Oh, okay. That's very very interesting to hear. But
Yeah.
it
So
looks like Sigdic is ghosted in the game, so he might have disconnected, or he's probably not in the race anymore. So that's just adding on to the Mercedes team's misery this weekend.
precisely, and yeah, that's going straight to the stewards post race as well. Huge shout out to the stewards as the gaps only become bigger out on track. Huge shout out to the stewards who did an incredible job. One of them being you, Dalvin. You all did an incredible job after last race. I heard over close to 15 incidents to review. Am I right?
Yes, Sathak, it was indeed a long and I wouldn't say painful, but a rather eventful session that we had with the other stewards to review all the incidents. Sadly, a lot of these incidents were, down to the game glitching as well, and these things here and there. But then I think the drivers and the team principals handled it really well. For the penalties that were handed out, some were genuine incidents, some were wrongly handed down by the game, and we might just see a few more coming on after this race, but that's just part of the racing, isn't it?
Yeah, true that. As Vic 356 gets a position onto Sicknig's AI, I presume, considering he's ghosted. But yeah, on lap number 16, it's Eccentric still leading this race. Not much activity out on track. I'd love to know what's going on in the voice comms of Team McLaren, to be honest, considering both of them are in the top 6.
Yep, RB Fellow seems to be just hanging on to Cuba RB. Oh, I think RB Fellow might have actually got past Gouts here, just a few laps ago, the McLaren were running in 4 and 5. Now, it's P5 for RB Fellow, so he might have gotten past Gouts somewhere in the middle sector, or even in the last lap. So Gouts now responds and is boxing and presumably going for the soft tires, perhaps an undercut attempt on RB Fellow. Will RB Fellow respond on the next lap? Let's ride on board with him as he's chasing down Cuba RB. Cuba RB might just do his teammate a favor here and slow down RB Fellow. Interesting team tactics coming into play right now, folks. Let's watch this unfold.
Yeah, we're on board Cuba RB as you said, and Gouts probably gonna come out. I've lost gaps as well on my screen, so I'd say he'd come out P10, but I don't want to be incorrect. And yes, he will come out
P10. Yes, he is in P10 and he has clear air, most importantly, which will give him the opportunity to push and get that undercut attempt onto RB Fellow. RB Fellow will be sweating in his pants right now, tries to get past Cuba RB into the fast left right chicane. Oh my god, this is side by side, this is not gonna end well, and there's a crash for RB Fellow. Runs wide, and this will unfortunately be the lap he has to box regardless. A dangerous attempt, a very very risky attempt there by RB Fellow to get past Cuba RB, but now he has lost his wing, a gamble that did not work.
Has he lost his wing? It seems completely fine on my screen. But yeah, that was too close for comfort. Clearly, I won't be surprised if that heads to the stewards as well post race. Cuba RB, an aggressive defender for sure.
Yep, it'll be interesting to see if Cuba RB has any damage out of that as well. RB Fellow, it definitely seems like he has damage here, and picks up a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, gets a wing change and goes onto the soft tires as well. Out of this whole undercut attempt that was started by Gouts, which forced RB Fellow to attack Cuba RB. RB Fellow coming out worse in that fight, and now Gouts is cleanly past RB Fellow up into P9 and chasing down the rest of the pack in P7 and 8.
Yeah, I need to divert your attention to two old teammates coming face to face. It's Drunken Monkey and Vex356, P5 and P6 within half a second of each other. Fun fact for you, Dalvin, Season 3, these two were poised to get the Constructors title together. If Drunken Monkey had stayed they might have just, but he's looking for a gap on his old teammate and couldn't find it. Vixie56 fends him off for that much longer, and going into sector 3, Vixie56 will have a big enough gap to not worry about Drunken Monkey come the main straight.
Yep, and interesting to note as well, Wix here, BRL Wix is on 10 laps all softs, mediums, which he presumably pitted during the safety car. And a Drunken Monkey here is now under attack from Signix AI of all people. So Drunken Monkey there having a hard time on this 17 lap all medium tires. He will definitely be looking to box and get it out of the way.
Yeah, AIs have never failed to, not disappoint. Let's say that. Considering we had an incident in season 3 where the likes of one of the Red Bull drivers' AI actually did pretty well and finished P4. And for those of you looking at the screens and saying, "Oh, isn't there a battle happening on screen?"
Wix has a spin coming out of turn 1, and he drops to P9, P8 now as we speak. And he gets past. Gouts gets past him as well. RB Ferrello next to pass his teammate there. Unfortunate there for the Alpine drivers, one after another having incidents.
How did that happen? Considering I was seeing Hyrox24 closing in on the likes of Sicknig, and yeah, he's lost his complete front wing. He's on the gravel now. Vixie56 trying to get the car back on track. Disaster struck
and
for
there's a
all the
VSC
drivers.
being called out of that. So let's see if any drivers out in front here would like to gamble for a late pit stop here, perhaps. Maybe for the likes of, I don't know, let's see who has not pitted just yet, and perhaps they would like to just get some fresher tires onto the car. And it looks like everyone has made their stop. Drunken Monkey up in P5. He is probably under attack from Cyclic, Herox and Gouts, so he would not be looking to box anytime soon. Eccentric though, up in front in the lead, has 12-second time penalty, so he doesn't want to be pitting as well, I think, doesn't he? Gout, well, Cuba Abi gets past the pit lane but doesn't box, surprising enough. Maybe he's just want to preserve his position here. Track position is, after all, king in this circuit.
Yeah, and I think Sicknick's back in the game itself, and he picks up a 5-second time penalty after a collision with Drunken Monkey on the penultimate corner, as we saw it happen on our screens. Meanwhile, XZ picks up a drive-through, I presume, for speeding under virtual safety car?
Yep, he did. And onto the main straight as well again. Harry Rocks 24 down into P7, turn 1 and 2, catching out yet another driver, and Harry Rocks is sent spinning into the gravels and recovers to go back into P7, but he might just be looking to end the race in 9 laps to come.
Yeah. Eccentric leading this race. That gap has shortened by 3 seconds, and that's something which will help in Envy's cause, because mind you, Eccentric's got a 6-second time penalty. So if Envy can stay within 6 seconds of him, he could possibly win this race.
Yeah, well, I'll have to correct you there, Sartik. Eccentric now has 12 seconds of penalties, and Envy is within that time gap. He's just only 7.5 seconds behind, so Envy just needs to eke out the pace, and the hearts will be getting better towards the end. I think Eccentric here is not gonna get his win that he's wishing for. KDB still just within that 12-second period here. I think he might just snatch it if he can get up close to Eccentric.
And we had an incident at the back of the pack. Dark Legacy loses traction, goes into the board on the left-hand side in Sector 2, and he somehow gets back on track. Hasn't had a disastrous retirement just like Freeze did earlier on his teammate. But RB Ferrello saying the fastest lap out on track, 1 minute 24.720.
Yep. And just as we were riding on with other drivers that had a spin, Harry Rocks sent himself into a spin in the last sector there, and still manages to keep his P7 as Freeze now boxes for another set of fresh tires, presumably to go for the fastest lap here.
And yep, 8 laps left, and as the race has unraveled the way it has, I'm wondering if we're even coming into the tail end of this race. With 7 laps to go, we're well aware that it is sim racing and anything's possible, But yeah, penalties being crucial for this race now. Hyrox 24.
Hyrox has gone. Yep. He has crashed into the wall, and that calls out the full safety car. And there we go. Another curveball thrown into the scene
We've got
as you wanted.
We've got another spin as well. It's Dark Legacy with no front wing out on track in sector 1, in fact, at the end of sector 1. So yeah, he'll be coming close to Hyrox 24 as well. Hopefully we can get a glimpse of Hyrox 24's car, or it has been cleared. Seems like it has been. But yeah,
Yep.
Dark Legacy, another driver, possibly the third or fourth driver today to have lost a front wing on track.
Yep, looks like this track is really catching on all the drivers. And speaking of the safety car as well, I think we can have a look on RB Fenlo, who dived into the pits to serve his 5-second time penalty, gets a new set of soft tires, and is still out in P6 behind Gouts. So he might be on a charge here for the late race into the last six or seven laps. So.
Unusual to see a safety car just stranded out on track, but it is what it is. And yeah, Vex pits as well, and he's coming out on a fresh set of softs, much like RB Ferrello. So yeah,
Yep.
so does Eccentric.
Eccentric pits for a new set of softs. Envy stays out on the old hards. KDB jumps in as well for a new set of presumably a soft tire. Cuba Abi now looks to respond as well, and is diving into the pits. Gouts will most likely inherit the P4 if the safety car Delta goes away. And it looks like array of drivers here, array of strategies as well. Envy deciding to stay out on the hards. He might be very, very vulnerable at the end of the race. Even at the start of the race, I think he's up for a challenge here to defend the P1, isn't he?
Yeah, for sure he had got a challenge in his hands. Probably not the best of decisions to stay out, but you know, as I mentioned a while earlier, and we lost a driver as well as another driver's front wing. I should probably stop talking, otherwise all the drivers are gonna be pointing fingers at me and saying commentators curse. But Vix356 gets disqualified on our screens as we see it. I saw him go ahead of the safety car, and I did think that could have been a glitch on his end, and I think that might have just cost him the whole race. The game might have just played a game on him, but we'll find out post-race.
Perhaps he tried to unlap himself.
Yep.
Sometimes the safety car does tend to go a little slower than expected. Perhaps that was his opportunity to unlap himself, which can happen under very, very unfavorable circumstances in the game. But this time, I don't think it worked out for him. Otherwise, he would have been on the lead lap, perhaps challenging for some good positions at the end of the race. 12 runners left. Multitude of penalties from the top to the bottom. Envy on the hards at the start. Eccentric on fresh softs with 12 seconds penalty. Envy now, I think, realizing that everyone else is on the mediums or the softs, has dived into the pits and will come out probably around P6 or 7. And that might actually have just released KDB into P2 and possibly the race win as well. How the tables have turned, Sarthak.
Yeah, who would have thought coming into lap number 23, KDB, who was the second driver in the first half of the race to pick up penalties, to be in a position of possibly winning this race. He just has to make sure he's within 12 seconds of Eccentric come lap number 29, and he's safe for it. So is Cube Rabi, for that matter. He could possibly pick up P2. But yeah, Envy does come out. On my board it says P4. Am I seeing this right, Dalvin?
Yep, indeed. He is P4 between the McLarens. So a great opportunity for them as well. Cuba Abi, who is also on the fresh soft tires. So it's going to be a great scrap here, you can see, for P2, even P3, I think. From P1 all the way down to P6. Everyone's on fresh tires here. Only the top two has penalties, so you just have to stick within 12 seconds or 3 seconds on the driver head, and you're pretty much guaranteed a podium here. And I think safety car might just be coming in at the end of this lap, as the pack is still not fully bunched up. Sick Drunken Monkey, Freeze, and Mr. Vex, the last of the drivers to catch up to the safety car queue.
Oh, front wing flying! It's a front wing flying, and it's Cuba Rabi, I presume, or is it Gouts? I'm not too sure. Yeah, it is Cuba Rabi. His front wing is long gone, and he's gonna head into the pits. 5-second penalty for ignoring yellow flag, and with all this chaos happening, I won't be surprised if we have a restart of the entire race come next weekend or the weekend after that. I'll say that and leave it there, but for now the race is on. Cuba Rabi will head into the pits. He's possibly lost out in contention for a podium today.
Yep, looks like a bit of a kerfuffle there by Cuba Abi. Maybe not paying attention during the safety car. And fortunately for him, the safety car is not in this lap. So that will give him an opportunity to rejoin at the back of the pack and, at least go for some more positions. That just releases Gouts and RB Fellow now for a contention of the P2. Envy with that 5-second, I think, might just get that be removed at the end of the race if that is deemed viable by the stewards. That will release him for the fight for P1 and 2 as well. Interesting how it's turning out.
Did Cuba Rabi just teleport from the pits to the main straight?
Oh, what is happening? And now Cuba is back into the pits. So the game, as always, playing tricks with us on the replays here, folks. This is something unfortunate in the game, and we can't do much about it. I think we just have to roll with it for now. Codys, please fix your game, buddy.
Yeah,
we need
let's
you.
let's just see how this unravels. Eccentric finds himself in the most unique of positions of leading this race yet again. KDB close behind. Envy on a fresh set of tires. 25th lap. As I mentioned earlier, we've extended all the way down to 25th lap, and the safety car still out. It's been there out on track since the 23rd lap, if I remember correctly. And yeah, let's just quickly bring out what kind of tires these boys have out on track right before we head into the safety car restart. Safety car in this lap, and yeah, it's Envy. All eyes on Envy.
Yep, everyone on pretty much as fresh as it can get of soft tires here. Only Signic though, still gambling it on the old mediums in P6 and XZ in P11 with the mediums as well. 13 laps old. I think these two drivers might be looking for a challenging 5 laps till the end, because the softs are going to be so much faster than these old mediums here.
Yeah, and they're weaving as much as they can through sector 3, trying to get heat into those tires to be set to go. Once the safety car restart, as Eccentric comes along the main straight, he steers away, and seems like KDB has company alongside him with the likes of Envy. Perhaps soon enough, XZ's in the mix somehow, considering he's a back marker, but it would have messed with KDB that much more. Eccentric steering away right behind. Everyone's kept it clean so far. McLaren weaves to the left, and that is Gouts taking the fight to Envy. He's gotten the position. The McLaren in the lead this time around is not Cuba Rabi, it's Gouts.
Yep, Gouts are looking for the win possibly here. Is the only driver in the top 5 alongside RB Fellow to keep it clean so far. No penalties for them. 12 seconds for Eccentric, 3 seconds for KDB, and Gouts looks like the prime position to be getting the win here. Gouts picks up a 5-second time limit for ignoring blue flags. I'm presuming that's just another glitch that will be protested after the race. However, Gouts, I think he might have some company here again with Envy now challenging for the P3.
Yeah, they're side by side. 3 into the next corner, perhaps with Envy still staying ahead. RB Ferrello now alongside Gouts. Right behind, however, Dark Legacy had his unfortunate spin after an incident with XZ. RB Ferrello, look how close he's getting to Gouts. He might have just lost out on a possible podium. 5-second penalty for ignoring yellow flag. I'm pretty sure that will be waived as well for KDB. Right now, Eccentric still leads this race, and Gouts threatened for position by RB Ferrello.
Yep. Yellow flags being waved everywhere. I think there's this unfortunate glitch, but let's ignore that and get back to the race. Eccentric up in front, doing his best to extend the lead as much as he can to minimize the damage that he has caused with all the 12-second time penalties that he's received. KDB within 3 seconds so far. He might just actually snatch the P1 from me. Envy, who has managed to get past Gouts up into P3 now. RB Fellow looking for that coveted P4. Best of the rest finish here. Might just have his work cut short in the last 3 laps.
Yeah, perhaps. I quickly need to know. Yes, eccentric is still leading this race. So let's not pay attention to the board anymore, folks. And thankfully the glitch has gone as well on lap number 27. So now we have the right things being shown to us by the game, as RB Ferrero keeps it within half a second of Gouts, who racks up a 5-second penalty, which will be waived as well for, I'm pretty sure, post-race. And right now, as it sits, RB Ferrero looking poised to get a position on Gouts.
Yep, on my screen though, Gouts looks like he's in P7. However, on RB Ferrero's screen, Gouts is just right ahead of him, and as always, the game is playing tricks with us. But then again, we're not sure what's really happening on track. Whether is it true or not? DRS now enabled into the last two laps, lap 28 and 29. 2 laps to go. 2 laps shootout here. Who's gonna make it? Who's gonna fail? Let's see.
Yeah, and as it says, Mr. Wex trying to close in on a competitor. Yeah, with the boards gone, I don't know which driver is in what position. But yeah, Kuberabi trying his best to make that climb work out for him. He's down in P. I have zero idea anymore.
Yep, positions on the timing board are not really matching the track right now. As from what I see, Eccentric is in the lead, and KDB is in P2, NV is in P3, followed closely by Gouts and RB Ferrero, who is in P5 on track, still in contention for the P4. Right behind there, I think the gaps are not big enough for anyone to attempt an overtake. However, XZ now under attack from Cuba Abi for that P9 position.
Yeah, RB Ferrero and Gouts, however, wheel to wheel as they enter they're exiting sector 3 as we speak, and RB Ferrero got ahead for now. Gouts closing in, however, on the main straight. Gouts might just have another opportunity on lap number 28 to get his position back.
Yep. RB Ferrero though gets the DRS before the detection zone, so great move by him to get it done before the pit straight, and he will survive lap 28 for now, and heading into the last lap presumably. I think we might just see some last minute desperate lunges from some of the drivers to gain a position or two.
And yeah, disappointing to see this race turn out the way it did. Hopefully we have an entertaining Formula 1 race later on in the evening at around 5:30 p.m. IST.
Yep,
Yeah.
40 minutes from now, Turkish GP is gonna go live, and we'll probably be heading there as well to have some fun on track. Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton championship rivalry gets ever so tight, and back here, I think we're just starting to see some of the greater drivers, the better drivers here, start to extend their lead, start to stamp their dominance in this league, despite being the second race. And some interesting talents coming through as well, rookies, and also some experienced drivers showing why they're here in the league in BRL.
Yeah, precisely. And regardless of what happens across the finish line, I think we can agree that the likes of KDB, Envy and Gouts, those are the three drivers really, after the post-race penalties are deliberated, who could stand a shot at being on the podium, with RB Ferrero in the mix, rightfully so as well. And somehow it seems to have ended the race right there. And regardless of what it says on the board, more on it later on. Unfortunate that we won't get that beautiful clip at the very end of getting the positions. But yeah, it's highly likely that we'll restart the Australian GP. Let's just leave it there.
Yep, and as Sid started, pretty unfortunate when we get glitches like this in the game, especially late into the development cycle of the game. But however, Cody's probably are definitely looking at this as their top priority so far.
I believe an update's coming out tomorrow, in fact, Dalvin, to fix all of these issues. So hopefully after that we'll have a much more peaceful Season 5.
Yep, let's hope, along that, it will also be rumored that we are getting some livery updates and also the new track, Imola. So hopefully, let's hope it goes better than the previous update where Portimao was released. It also introduced an array of bugs such as the ones that we have been seeing today. Let's hope all of those are fixed in the next patch and we have a calmer race in the next week.
Yep. Hopefully, and if we do end up having an Australian GP repeat, I'm pretty sure we'll have it after the next race, which is the Bahrain GP, the Bwoah Racing League Bahrain GP. So hopefully, right after that is when we'll have the repeat of Australia, Albert Park. And as you see on my screen, the game has probably given up on itself. Let's quickly switch to the RoadRunnerRacingCo Esports thumbnail. We'll leave it there, Dalvin. For those of you who stay till the very end, thank you very much. We'll see you again next weekend.